Every Monday, the world gives you another shot, another clean slate, another beginning, another chance to become the person you're trying so hard to grow into. Another opportunity to either repeat last week's excuses or rewrite the story that's waiting to be told through your discipline, your intention, and your direction. But sadly, most people don't treat Mondays like that. They treat Monday like a punishment, like a harsh alarm clock that drags them into responsibility, not an open door that invites them into their potential. They treat it like something to survive, not something to honor. Yet if there's one decision, one consistent practice you can build that will slowly but surely change your entire life, it's this: honor Monday. Own your Monday. Use your Monday. Not with pressure, not with hustle addiction, but with alignment. Because how you do Monday is how you do the week. And how you do the week is how you build your life. Not in 5-year timelines, not in vision boards stored on Pinterest. Not in secrets or shortcuts, but in the start of every week. You cannot wait until Monday decides to feel better. You have to bring it something better to work with. You have to bring vision. You have to bring focus. You have to bring a decision. A decision that says, this is who I choose to be this week. No matter how I feel, no matter what's ahead, and no matter what last week looked like. Because last Monday might not have gone how you wanted. You may have started out strong and slipped by Wednesday. You may have not kept the promises you made to yourself. You might be carrying guilt, frustration, regret thinking it's too hard to get consistent. Your brain might be replaying failures. Your list might already feel overwhelming. Your energy might be low. Your fire barely burning. But the beautiful thing about Monday is that it doesn't care. It's not judging you. It's not reminding you of what you didn't do. It's offering you its hand again. It's saying, here, try again, begin again, show up again. And you owe it to yourself to take that offer. Because if you don't use Monday as a focal point, if you don't use it as a gathering ground for the week's energy, then life will scatter you. Distraction will decide for you. Notifications will write your schedule. Other people's fires will burn up your time. And before you know it, it's Friday again. You're exhausted again. You're mentally worn down again, and you're wondering, where did my week go? But it didn't get taken from you. It got given away, not all at once. But in those small moments, especially the ones at the very beginning when you had the most power to choose, power to lead yourself before the world started leading you, power to wake up and write out your week not just in tasks, but in truth. That's why you must choose Monday. You must call it sacred. Not because it's perfect, but because it's yours. You need to turn down the noise and listen in. Reclaim your week's voice before you give it to the demands around you. Sit with your thoughts before they get hijacked by the morning rush. Pause before movement. Reflect before reaction. Plan before panic. Lead before life pulls you off course. Just sit up, breathe in deep, and say, okay, I'm here, I'm present, I've got this. And maybe you don't feel like you've got this yet. That's okay. Confidence doesn't come from instant clarity. It comes from consistency. It comes from showing up anyway. It comes from doing the things you promised yourself you'd do not, just when you're inspired, but especially when you're not. And Monday is the best place to practice that. Because Monday shows up whether you feel like it or not. Monday doesn't care if you're in the mood. It shows up and asks, where do you want to go from here? You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to know every detail. You just need to start. You just need to care enough about the direction of your life to say, before I touch my phone, before I jump into emails, before I answer everything I didn't get to last week, I'm going to sit with me. I'm going to sit with my intention. I'm going to ask myself what future I'm building right now, brick by brick, hour by hour. Because that's what most people forget. Your life isn't built in big weekends, in spontaneous breakthroughs, or single bursts of productivity. Your life is built in the rhythm of your weeks, in the way you lead yourself into each one. And most transformation doesn't begin with a holiday, or a birthday, or the 1st of January. It begins on a Monday. A quiet, unnoticed, undesired, regular old Monday where something inside of you finally refused to crawl through life and decided to consciously create it. That's when things begin to shift. That's when the internal dialogue becomes powerful. That's when you stop saying, let me just get through this week, and you start saying, let me make this week mean something. That's when your vision becomes real. That's how momentum begins, quietly, steadily, from the first 5 minutes of your Monday morning. Minutes that seem useless to most people but are holy ground to the one who's ready to change. Because that's what most people forget. Your life isn't built in big weekends, in spontaneous breakthroughs, or single bursts of productivity. Your life is built in the rhythm of your weeks, in the way you lead yourself into each one. And most transformation doesn't begin with a holiday, or a birthday, or the 1st of January. It begins on a Monday. A quiet, unnoticed, undesired, regular old Monday where something inside of you finally refused to crawl through life and decided to consciously create it. That's when things begin to shift. That's when the internal dialogue becomes powerful. That's when you stop saying, let me just get through this week, and you start saying, let me make this week mean something. That's when your vision becomes real. That's how momentum begins. Quietly, steadily, from the first 5 minutes of your Monday morning. Minutes that seem useless to most people, but are holy ground to the one who's ready to change. It doesn't require a perfect plan. It requires a present mind. It requires space, even if it's just 10 minutes at the beginning of your day. That's all it takes to pause, to realign, to breathe long enough to get back in sync with your values. Ask yourself, what do I need to feel like myself again? What truth have I forgotten? What lie did I fall back into over the weekend? What standard do I want to return to? What version of me am I going to bring into this week by choice? Because you cannot rise by accident. You cannot drift into excellence. You cannot become your best self with a defeated plan and a detached rhythm. You have to be intentional every Monday. Because Monday is not just about the work you do. It's about the person who shows up to do it. If you don't own your identity by Monday morning, the world will give you one by Monday afternoon. And it might be a name that has nothing to do with your calling and everything to do with your chaos. So slow down. For once, don't rush into your calendar. Let your soul speak while the sky is still quiet. Let your spirit return to peace before the pressure kicks in. Let your heart declare that what you are building is worth starting again today. Maybe you've fallen off track. So what? Every successful, powerful, impactful human being you've ever looked up to has had to come back from a season of inconsistency. That's not failure, that's normal. What separates them is one thing: they came back. They didn't run from the beginning, they built through it. Again, and again, and again. And you can too. If you hear nothing else, hear this. Every single Monday is whispering a question to you. Will you lead this week, or will you let it lead you? Will you approach your life like it matters? Will you treat your calendar like a reflection of your calling instead of a collection of burdens? Will you wake up and become the version of yourself you keep saying you want to meet on some distant day? Because she isn't waiting in the future somewhere. She's right here. He's not years away in some goal. He's in your next decision, in your next breath, in your next small act of discipline. But that person will stay invisible as long as Monday is treated like something to get through instead of something to build from. So what do you do every Monday? You stop hiding. You stop holding your breath. You stop panicking about how far you still have to go and start celebrating that you still have a day to go somewhere. You slow your mind, you center your body, and you ask yourself better questions, not, how am I going to get it all done? But instead, what matters most this week? Not, how do I fix everything I didn't do last week? But instead, what kind of energy do I want to carry with me today? Not, why do I always feel behind? But instead, where am I already further than I've ever been? Do you realize how powerful it is to touch one day of the week and turn it into your fuel source for the next 6? That's math people don't talk about. Multiply that practice for the rest of your year, and things start moving in ways you never expected. Because here's the deeper truth. Most people don't need new goals. They need new rhythm. Most people don't need to change everything. They just need to stop abandoning what's already working. They need consistency. And consistency begins with one sacred reset, one non-negotiable window of reflection and alignment. That's what Monday can be. That's what it wants to be, for anyone brave enough to listen. You don't need a mentor to tap you on the shoulder. You don't need a life coach to confirm it. You just need to wake up and choose to care about your path, about your habits, about your energy, about how you carry yourself into rooms, about how you speak to yourself before other people speak to you, about what you decide is true about you this week. Because if you're not deciding, something else is. If you're not planting a seed, weeds are growing by default. You were not built to repeat a life that exhausts you. You were built to renew. You were built to rise many times, not just once, every week if you have to, every Monday if needed. So start with that. Do it with the coffee next to you. Do it with the world still waking up. Do it with your journal or your hands placed still on your chest. And say to yourself, out loud if it helps, I am choosing to carry presence into this week. I am choosing to move slower so I can move stronger. I am choosing to reconnect with my values, not my performance. I am choosing to say no to what drains me and yes to what grows me. I can begin again, not in guilt, but with power. That sentence, said with belief, is your new Monday ritual. That practice, repeated, becomes your new flow. And it's from that flow that you begin moving through your week with grounded intention instead of scattered reaction. So, what's next? Put everything down and look at your week with fresh eyes. Circle the moments that matter most. Not the busiest, not the loudest, but the ones that matter. Maybe it's space to think. Maybe it's time to create. Maybe it's one conversation you've been avoiding or one decision you've been postponing. Set it, see it, own it, and then protect your energy around it like your life depends on it. Because the truth is, it does. You only get so many weeks, so many Mondays, so many chances to begin again. You don't have time to waste resenting something that can actually rescue your rhythm. You don't have time to crawl into the same stagnant routines hoping something magical will change without your participation. It's time to show up fully, consistently, on purpose, especially on Mondays. Not perfectly, but powerfully. There's no secret formula outside of you. There's no mentor that can do more than you can if you learn to honor the beginning of your week with reverence. This life has always been trying to grow you. Mondays are just the built-in reminders. Every 7 days, life walks up, taps you on the shoulder and says, here, be bold again. Try again. Rise again. Don't look back. This time, walk in, like you remember who you are. So start. Right now, choose presence over panic. Choose peace over performance. Choose rhythm over random. Choose vision over urgency. Choose to be the one who leads, not the one who waits to be pulled. And do it all. Every Monday. Because the life you keep reaching for doesn't begin in some dramatic, magical moment. It starts quietly, early, with you, before the world enters. On a regular Monday morning that no one else will notice. But you'll know, this time was different. This time you showed up. This time you led. And that can change everything.